Well, first of all, thank you for
Absolutely.
your time. I appreciate it.
No problem, no problem. And thank you for yours as well. I appreciate you.
So, first question is, I'm curious to know, did you know early on that you wanted to be an actor?
Um, from high school, I had a slight inclination, and it was only because I was in a production in the 12th grade called West Side Story.
Mhm.
And I was casted as a background actor, as one of the dancers. And I remember attending rehearsals and everything like that. You know, it was more of a just a hangout, an excuse to not be at home having to study. Um, but when we had show night, and I remember the lights, the first time the lights were on for dress rehearsal, and I remember I had maybe about 3 seconds to myself in the spotlight on that big stage. And I remember it was a different feeling that came over me when I was in the spotlight. And something fell in my spirit to say, okay, well, I like this. The lights are a little warm, but I like this. And before then, I was always the shy one. I wear glasses. I always joke around with my friends, and I call myself the Velma of the crew. Um, but I beforehand I used to be the one who would stay in the background. You know, I was okay with not being seen.
Mhm.
But when that spotlight hit, that was a different feeling. So after that, I didn't have any acting opportunities directly after graduation, but it was more so after a few years in college. A friend of mine had invited me to audition for a play that they were having. And when I did that play, they made me lead character. When I auditioned, they made me lead character. And again, that was my chance to shine on stage. So it took off after that.
I'm curious, what did your parents think when you let them know that, hey, this is what I want to do for a career?
Oh boy. Okay, so I grew up with my grand aunt and grand uncle. When I graduated from high school, initially I was an art student. However, when I graduated, my grand aunt sat me down and she said, you're an adult now. You're about to be, in the real world. And she said, listen, you have three options. Either you be a lawyer, a doctor, or you choose business. Pick one. Um, and I know it was from a place of love. She wanted
Yeah,
the best for me in
yeah.
particular. She wanted the best for me. And being in the Bahamas, we didn't really have a creative avenue, so much so it wasn't as strong as it's starting to become now. And keep in mind, this was years ago, years ago. So back then, I know she just wanted the best for me. So I pursued business. I have a strong background in HR now, and I always tell persons I have two lives. So I have my 9 to 5, which is with my strong background in HR. I could work in any office. And then there's after hours Nikki, which is the actress. And initially it was, and there are some times when it's rough, because I'm now a mother of three. So I have a 17-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a 7-year-old. And oftentimes they're scooting behind me, going to auditions, going to productions. But the good thing about it is that they are being introduced to the industry as well. So my 17-year-old, he started to dabble behind the cameras. And he's learning more about the production side. He
Mhm.
prefers being behind the camera. My 7-year-old, he's a superstar within himself. And he would tell anybody that he's the star of the show. It doesn't matter which show it is, he's the star. And my 14-year-old she's really strong in theater now. She's getting into theater and begging me to go to auditions, that I wouldn't have thought about back then. But in all honesty, again, getting back to the question, um, I knew that my grand aunt at the time, she wanted the best for me. But I realized that even though it allowed me to get my 9 to 5 and to have that professional side in terms of HR, in terms of office background. At the same time, I didn't give up on my passion. I learned, I realized that acting is my passion. And with me continuing on with my passion, it opened up opportunities. It opened up doors that I never could have imagined.
Hmm. A lot of actors get their first taste of being in front of a camera with short films. You've done a couple like The Dream and Devil's Deal. How did working on those projects help prepare you for what would be your role on this current Tyler Perry film?
Well, the dream to start with, um, the writer producer Trevon Patton, I remember with my character, I was required to step out of the box. Before then, I was a little quiet Nikki, girl next door, um, always expected to act nice. But with the dream, I had to find this abusive masculine energy to be able to pull off the character. And initially, I remember when he first when I first tried to run the lines with that energy, I kept telling him, I'm like, dude, I don't know. This is difficult. How do you want me, little old me? I'm only 5'2". How do you want me to threaten somebody who's taller than me, who's bigger than me? And he's like, listen, understand the character, think about it, come up with it, and bring something new to set. Let me see what you can do. And sure enough, when it was time to run the camera and when it was time for action, I literally found that character and I was able to pull it off. And that movie actually was entered into the widescreen film festival in Florida, in Miami, Florida in 2015. And I remember we traveled to the film festival, and that was my first experience with real fans. I had people approaching me and saying, "Oh my God, I love you in that movie," and in my head, I was thinking, "You did? You watched it? Oh my God!" And it was exhilarating. Also with Devil Steel, again, I was asked to come out of character. Um, I'm not naturally sinister. Um, but with that character, I had fun. I had fun in building it and becoming something that I naturally would not have been on screen. And seeing the final product, actually, it enabled me to be able to step out of the box and enabled me to be confident that when I tell persons, listen, if you put a script in front of me and you say, hey, I want you to be this character, I will find that character.
Hmm.
I'm going to become that character. Um, so being on Tyler Perry set, I always used to tell persons, I'm not funny. I don't find myself to be funny. I don't think I'm a comedian. But being on the set with the actual comedians, with the really funny persons, it was natural. I felt like I was literally surrounded by family and, everyone was just flowing and it was difficult trying to stay in character. Mind you, it was very difficult because those guys are hilarious.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you can imagine my initial encounter with this 6 foot Madea, who was we hadn't even started rolling yet, and Madea was already, doing what she does. So I was standing there like, oh my God, please help me to deliver my lines properly because I don't know if I can keep a straight face, but I was able to. I was able to. So in the long run, I would love to work with them again. But I had an amazing time, and I don't even think amazing does the experience justice. The word amazing is not enough. I honestly, I still feel like I'm dreaming.
When it came to that part in that film, Medea's Destination Wedding, did you do like a live in person audition? Was it taped? How did the audition process go for that?
Okay, so with the audition process, initially we had a casting call that was sent Um, and it was sent via WhatsApp, and it was on social media. There was a social media post. And I had gone in for the casting call. We read a slide, and then I was advised by the person who was doing the casting call. She told me that, we'll be in contact with you. Um, but, she said the usual, you did well, we'll
Yeah.
be in contact.
Yeah.
So automatically I'm like, yeah, okay, you know. But when she did contact me, she said, we decided that you were great for this, and you're expected to bring your A game, don't let us down. Um, and it's a few of us who are actually on the Medea in the Medea movie. And it's a good representation of Bahamas, I feel.
Hmm.
I feel like we all put our best foot forward, and we just did our thing out there. So the casting director, Kivana, she's from Rhythm and Motion. And listen, I'm so thankful for her and her whole team, because if it wasn't for them, obviously I wouldn't be where I am now. But it was an amazing experience, just going through the casting call and then showing up to set, and everyone saying, "Hey, you need to do this. You need to get hair, da da da, da, hair and makeup, whatever, whatever." Okay, now you're in their hands, and they're gonna deal with you. It was fun. It was definitely worth it.
Can you tell us about the character you play in this film?
So my character is a front desk agent, and I believe one of the reasons why I was selected was because, and I've been teased about this as well, it's because I show all 200 of my teeth when I start.
The smile was one of the first things you know. Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Um, but we are definitely, as a nation, we are friendly people. I think the idea was to find someone, who can portray that, and I think my character was meant to bring that warmth, and show that warmth of the Bahamas. And no matter what type of person comes in front of us, we got a job to do. So as a front desk agent, I had to do my job.
Hmm.
It didn't matter if Medea was bouncing around. It didn't matter if Brian had his moments. It didn't matter if anyone was confused. My job was to explain to them what they were able to get with their cards and what they were able to do at the resort. And it is a beautiful resort. It really is.
Hmm.
So the Atlantis Resort, representing them as well, it was definitely a thrill and a pleasure.
Every time I watch a Medea film, I always think to myself, and I thought this when I was watching you work on in the film, how do people keep a straight face? Because if I saw that group of people coming towards me, I would just start cracking up laughing.
Listen to me, no exaggeration. It was hard. It was hard trying to keep a straight face. And it's not just because they were being funny. It was because they were naturally funny.
Yes,
And
yes.
it was the reactions, of everybody. And this is even without the tape rolling, without the cameras on. Like, when we were getting into place, it's just the interaction with everybody. Mind you, on set, I realized that, and this is any set that I go to, there's a time and a place for everything.
Yep.
You have your playtime, you have your time to chat and network and, communicate. But then when it's time to work, it is time to get the job done. So in that regard, for them to be able to get the job done and still be funny in the interim, even when the cameras stopped rolling, it was just the reactions of everybody, and the interactions, and even, everyone would support each other. So, and being on set, like, a lot of them were telling me, they're like, "You're doing good, you're doing good," and I'm like, "Really? Oh my God, Mr. Brown just told me I did good." you know. So it's difficult when you're out of character, but for me, once my character was turned on, once I was in character and I felt the moment, I knew that I had a job to do and I knew that I had to represent the Bahamas. I was on a mission. I was definitely on a mission. And also this was a dream come true. So I wanted to make the most of this opportunity that was given to me.
I'm curious to know when the cameras aren't rolling and you're sitting around on set, did you get a chance to pick the brains of some of the actors? Did you get a chance to talk to Tyler at all or Mr. Brown? Any of those people? Did you get a chance to talk to them about the business?
Well, honestly, Tyler is extremely busy. When I
Yeah,
say
I
busy, when
figured as
he is
much.
on set, I
Yeah.
know. Yeah, he's it. I was able to realize that he's the type of person who he seems very nice. He's very sweet. But he's one of those persons who wants the job done. He's he's straight to getting the job done. And as with everybody who's on set, there's a certain particular amount of time that you have to get stuff done. And to get scenes out, and then you still have to give yourself a grace period just in case you have to redo any scenes. So with that said, there wasn't really much time to converse
Right.
and to hang out, so to say. But I was able to network with a few people, and to this day, I still do. And again, that's why I can genuinely say they're really sweet people. Their personalities are just amazing. I adore all of them, and I consider everyone family now. So.
How important is someone like Tyler Perry when it comes to his influence in this industry and what he does for the industry, especially for people of color?
I think he's extremely, extremely important. I think he plays a major role. He plays a major factor, um, especially with him including the Bahamas in such a big way
Yeah.
in this particular movie. I told a friend of mine, the whole Bahamas is awake. Like we literally, as a nation, we came together and supported each other, and this movie went to number one literally within less than 48 hours
Yeah.
of it being released. And I knew for certain, as a Bahamian, I can definitely step out and say, I know my 242 was watching, you know. But in all honesty, the ability for us to be on a platform like that, it's a blessing. And Tyler Perry has definitely opened the doors for a lot of us,
Hmm.
especially me. And I
Hmm.
feel blessed. And I feel like his impact on the industry in general is a powerful one.
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
definitely a powerful one.
There are so many wonderful actors in this industry. Do you have any actors that you look up to that inspire you?
Well, apart from the obvious, apart from the obvious, I have my two favorites are Denzel
Oh yeah.
and Viola. So Denzel Washington and Viola Davis. Um, Denzel Washington, and I've been attacked for this many a times because one of my favorite movies from Denzel is Training Day.
Hmm.
And I've been attacked in terms of persons have said, but that's not the best one. But for me, the reason why I love Training Day so much is because although I didn't agree with what the character was doing, Denzel made me love his character because of the way he portrayed it, because of the way he delivered it. The character within itself was so demanding but sinister. It made me feel as a viewer I was sitting on the sidelines like, ooh, I wouldn't mind playing a character like that. But he's been a powerful actor from long ago. And then Viola, the thing about one of the bigger things about Viola for me is the fact that she's not afraid to get ugly on camera.
Nope.
And when I say get ugly, I'm not talking about makeup or
I know
anything
what
like
you
that.
mean.
I'm
Yeah.
talking about facial expressions. I'm talking about getting into the character. And I mean, even like for example, in How to Get Away with Murder, she's got, her character has this particular walk about her that, back in the day I would have looked and said, oh, I'm not going to do that on screen. I need to wear makeup when I go on screen, or I can't cry on screen because then what if I get raccoon eyes? But now I literally get tease myself and say, I've always got raccoon eyes. And director here, who's trained me many a times, Nicolette Bathel from the Dundas. She once told me as well, you can't be afraid to get ugly on stage. She showed me a photo of myself on stage at one point, and I looked at it, and I told her, I was like, why? Why would you take that photo? That's such a horrific expression. And she said, no, that's how it's supposed to be. That's how you delivered it. That's wonderful. That's what we needed. We needed to feel that character. So I feel for with Viola, their pain. I feel their triumph. So that's why those are two of my favorites.
And especially with Denzel on Training Day, it's so outside of what we were used to him, kind of character we're used to him playing. And when he
Exactly.
came in and was that badass in that character,
Exactly.
I was like, yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Exactly. Because we're used to Denzel being the hero. We're not used to him being the bad guy.
Yeah.
So to actually to see him in that role, for me, I can watch that movie over and over and over again. And the thing about it is, with the Madea movie, my daughter in particular, she has literally watched this movie over and over and over again so far. So it makes me proud to know that I'm in that. I was given the opportunity to actually be an actress in this movie, and it's making a statement. It's showing jet even beyond my kids. It's showing Bahamians in general. It's showing the international world that it is possible to achieve your dreams. You just got to stay at it.
As your career progresses, do you see yourself maybe getting into writing, producing, and maybe stepping behind the camera like your 17-year-old's been doing?
Well, the difficulty in that. I always tell persons I'm not a writer. I tried. I don't feel, and I know my English professors would be so disappointed, but I am an actress, and I know I'm an actress in my heart of hearts and the bottom of my soul.
Sure, yeah.
If you drop a script in front of me, I will become that character. But if you ask me to create a script, it's probably going to take me a little bit longer. I would try. I definitely would try. I wouldn't throw it out the window, but I know where my passion lies. So, and in terms of working behind the camera, again, like I joked with my 17-year-old just a few days ago that, you know, I'll leave that to him. He's the behind the camera persons. All of the producers who I know, who are multi-talented. Oh my goodness, they are multi-talented. But I keep telling him, I'm like, yeah, that's you. I just give me the script. Give me the script and watch me make magic.
I'm curious, not to be controversial with this question, but I'm curious to know, there's been a lot of progress for people of color in this industry. Do you feel there's a lot more work that needs to
Right.
be done, especially for women of color?
Um, I think there's work to be done in all aspects. And it just goes to show that there's no perfection anywhere,
Right.
literally in any industry, in anything. Nobody can ever really be a 10 out of 10. There's always room for progression. So that said, yes, I do agree that there's work to be done. And I feel like if we all just follow our dreams and pursue our passions and don't give up, we can all achieve. And at the end of the day, someone once told me, you aim for the moon and you land amongst the stars. So that said, just never give up. Keep at it, keep at it, keep going, and go after your goals, go after your dreams. You'll get there.
And that kind of dovetails into the next question I was going to ask you. What has there been a piece of advice that someone's given you that's helped you so far in your career? Seems like that might have been it.
Yes, that is it. Literally, that is it. And in all honesty, as an actress, it makes sense because to land amongst the stars for me, just one moment of being on set with Tyler Perry and the cast and crew, it was exhilarating to know that now my kids are looking at me as a star.
Hmm.
um and they, when they're speaking to their friends are telling them, oh my gosh, you know your mom, I know your mom, and the excitement for me, it makes me feel like, okay, well, there's a chance that somebody's looking up to me, and it makes it even more worthwhile, achieving my dreams. And I've got bigger dreams. I want to keep going. I want to keep achieving my dreams, and I want to be on the big screen. I want to be in different movies, the Marvel movies. I want to make cameo appearances in certain shows. I want to work with certain actors. Um, but this is just the beginning for me.
As you continue, and I'm sure you know this industry can be very, very difficult for people, and there's a lot of rejection in this industry. How do you keep
Yeah.
yourself grounded and keep yourself, humble and keep yourself moving on, even though there is a lot of rejection in this industry?
One thing that I've realized is that not everything is meant for you,
Hmm.
but what is meant for you will find you, and it will be. So there have been many a times where I've actually cried as an actress, thinking, well, why can't I do that? Why I feel like I have the perfect look for this character, or why isn't there an opportunity available for this or that or whatever? But um, I've found that when you put in your side of the work, when you put in your effort, you make that step forward. There's going to be many a times when people don't even know that you made that effort because they're so busy. For example, if you try to submit your documents to somebody who's got millions of documents coming in or millions of resumes coming in, they might never see you. However, there's that one chance that you might run into somebody who says, hold on, wait, I saw you in that production. And you know what? I think that you have the opportunity, you have the ability to actually apply and audition for this particular production. Try this out. So maybe that wasn't your road to follow. Um, but my ultimate thing is never give up. Never give up. If you feel like you're a producer, don't give up. Keep trying, keep putting your material out there, and somebody's gonna find you. You're an actor. Again, don't give up. Do the casting calls, and don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone. That's another thing. Um, Sometimes as an actor, we're required to basically break out of our shell and be persons who we wouldn't be on a normal day-to-day basis. But that's the whole point in acting. You become the character for the moment, for that time period. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're the Denzel of Training Day on a normal day-to-day basis, or you're the Viola Davis of How to Get Away with Murder on a normal day-to-day basis. That might just be for the monologue, for the purpose of you getting an audition or getting a role similar to those characters.
Um, I just thought of this. What would you say to someone who came up to you? And again, I know you're still early in your career, but what would you say to someone who said, "Hey, I'm really interested in becoming an actor"? What would you say? What kind of advice would you give them? Because I've talked to actors over the years, and some actors just look at me and say, "Don't be an actor. Do something else. If you can
Oh
do something else, do
no!
something else."
What? Well, funny funny thing is that I've been acting for over 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Over 20 years. So I have my first nomination for any award was literally last year, and again a nomination was granted this year, but I didn't win. Um, but 20 years in, and I finally landed a dream role in a Tyler Perry movie with lines. Don't give up. If it's your passion, if you feel it in your soul, if it's something that you enjoy thoroughly, don't give up. I literally just told a friend of mine, I want to leave it all out there in terms of being that person who people look up to say, wow, she never gave up and she achieved everything she said she would. I want my kids to see it. I want the public to see it. I want the Bahamas, especially the 242, to know that I am that person who went after her goals and who accomplished them. Um, During those 20 years, it wasn't easy. I had persons who would come to me and say, hey, you're a mom. Be realistic. Stick to your 9 to 5. Tyler Perry is out of your reach. Come on now, make some sense of it. I've had persons who've said, listen, you're a mom, be realistic. You need to work. You need to make sure you keep that 9 to 5 going because you have kids to take care of. The catch was that they were right in terms of, yes, I'm a mom. Yes, I needed to work. Being in the Bahamas, it's virtually impossible to be a full-time actress in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
Um, but here, I did the work, but after hours, I was an actress. So, that being said, even though it was rough in terms of me feeling like, okay, well, I'm tired, I've been going this whole time or whatever, it was still worth it. When we put on shows, when the curtains closed, when persons would contact me and say, hey, I saw you in that show and I loved it, and I watched that movie and I loved it. You really inspired me. I wrote this or I did that and I tried out for it makes it all worth it in the long run. And especially again with my kids watching, especially for my kids, I show them that yes, you have to be realistic. Yes, but at the same time, you can follow your passion while being realistic because one day you never know. One day maybe I could become a full-time actress, and I could be that person who says, I'm going to wake up and go to set. That's what we're doing today, and that's what I look forward to someday.
It's interesting that you say you never know because that's why we're talking right now. Your work in that movie was so interesting to me that I wanted to reach out and talk to you. You just never know.
Oh,
You just never know. You
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 never
shined in
know.
that role, and you had some really good screen time in that film.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I did. And I was a little bit nervous initially, because initially I didn't want to say anything too soon. My great grandmother always taught me you never put the carriage before the horse.
Hmm.
So it's kind of like an old saying where with a carriage and a horse, the horse has to lead the carriage. The horse has to pull the carriage. So putting the carriage before the horse means that you're putting yourself out there and you don't know what the outcome's going to be. And somebody had whispered in my ear, they were like, if you post that you're in this Tyler Perry film, what if they cut your scene? What are you going to do then? Because, you have 6,000 plus followers on Facebook who are going to read that, you're in this movie. And if you don't be seen, then what? So the night that it premiered or the morning that it premiered, my 17-year-old, literally, he made me cry. He stayed up all night to make sure that he caught the movie first. He wanted to make sure. And literally, when the movie was released, he woke me up and he's like, Mommy, 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 you're on Netflix, Mommy. So that moment in time, to me, it was all worth it. It was all worth it.
I think right there, I think we can end it right there. I just want to congratulate you on that role.
Thank
You
you.
took that role and you made something with it, and you made me notice it, and I'm sure you made a lot of
Oh,
other people notice it.
well, I hope so. And I thank you so much. I appreciate you.